What's up, folks? It's your boy, the Internet Stepdaddy, and back with another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. So I'm gonna let this video play in a second, but today I want to keep you centered on this question: Who can be trusted to lead? Who can be trusted to lead is the thought behind this, and it is all encompassing. It has nothing to do specifically with men leading or women leading. It's about simply who has the character to be trusted to lead. That is the main thing. So in the meantime, we're gonna let this video play. It is gonna pertain to the PPP fraud.
Be careful what you say on TikTok. The other day I made a video about how I did the PPP loan and now I'm on house arrest because of it and I'm facing 22 years in prison. I also mentioned other people who I knew who did the PPP in the video just to give context. Well, today my brother gets arrested.
You shouldn't have been talking shit.
We tried to tell y'all that they did not forget about these PPP loans.
Got some bad news for you. You're done, son. It's over.
What it look like, TV?
I am back. What it do, baby?
YouTube's own Varnell Hill.
Did you miss me?
Your very own spokesman for the Insidians. We're inside and we're comfortable.
They're so comfortable.
And I'm back with another one. And today, y'all, we're going to get back into this PPP situation. The last video in the comments section, there was a lot of people talking about how this situation was pretty much done and over with.
It's over. It's just a memory.
So a whole bunch of people were shocked to wake up one morning and be in this situation right here.
Now imagine waking up and finding out that there is a list and your name is on that motherfucker and you might be going to jail for something you did years ago. So if you took that loan out and you weren't sure if you had a warrant out for your arrest, there's a list for you to go find out. You might want to do that. One of the worst things about this, people took this money 4 years ago. So imagine thinking, yes, I got away with stealing money from the government.
From idea to submission, empower students to do their best work with Grammarly's comprehensive AI writing assistant.
Well, you did it. It just took them a while to come after you, but they had all the records for everything that you did. There's paper trail, which pointed out two things to me: how desperate some people were back in those times, and also the lack of common sense to know not to f with the government. And what's really sad, I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all spent the money on some bullshit that wasn't even worth it to begin with.
That's probably true.
And hey, if your name is not on the list, you can also be nosy and see if someone you know, if their name is on the list. I don't exactly know what the consequences are for taking that money, but I'm pretty sure it's not worth it. If you've actually seen that list and search it, let me know.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. The government really want their money back.
Give me my fucking money back. You motherfucker.
When they said it was a website and it was the list of names, all your information is public record right now if you took a PPP loan. And it's a dangerous situation for some people.
I feel like everybody needs to be aware of this because honestly, at this point, it's not safe.
So if you took the PPP loan, there was an opportunity to have it forgiven, especially if you're a business owner. And a lot of people probably didn't do this. So there's a way to have had it resolved and reconciled, and if you did it in good faith. But we'll continue.
For anybody that applied for the 20K PPP loan, just understand that there is a website out right now where you can type in anybody's name and it'll show all their information, including name, their address, their business, and so on. So today, a 7-year-old girl and her father were in line at McDonald's, waiting for some food, and shots rang out. The girl got is fighting for his life in critical condition. He was one of those people that applied for the loan, meaning that his name, his address, and everything was made public, and he made the status afterwards. And as you can see, this is the end result. As you can see, I typed in a random name and these addresses popped up. I don't know what needs to happen, but this website needs to be taken down. It also exposes how much money a person got as well. So just for the sake of everybody's safety, this website needs to be taken down immediately. So beware.
You got a lot of people out there right now on TikTok trying to slip in little questions to these lawyers to see if they'll be okay. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news. If you took $1 from these people, they're going to want it back.
Hey sis, this is Attorney Davis responding to your question, and nobody is safe. Okay, just like Joe Biden said, they are coming after you. Not you, because I know, I get it, but I'm just saying. I was quoting what he said.
We choose truth over facts.
So from my understanding, no amount is safe. In fact, this amount that you're talking about, in our case, one of the co-conspirators actually got less than this amount, and he was still indicted by the feds and in turn flipped on other people. So from my understanding, I haven't seen any guidance otherwise, but I think that, you know, if a person has been doing this and for any amount, it's just really concerning. Okay. So I hope that that helps, but I personally have not received any guidance. And as an example, in my case, someone did get indicted for an amount less than that. So.
Oh, Schnizzle, you guys are in trouble.
In other words, you thought you were safe because you only got $11,000, $12,000. Nope, they coming for you too. But anyway, let's get.
So I wrote something in 2023 that I wanted to highlight here. Want you guys to read along. Let's see here. All right, I said, what if I told you that mass incarceration practices are going to lean more on financial crime to bolster private prison industry more efficiently? It's easy to lock up poor people if it's easy to lock people up with money and resources. Capitalism is built on exploitation of the poor and its main component. Exploiting the poor is par for the course. It's cheap labor in its simplest form. The only way to make labor even cheaper is to put increased economic obstacles in the path. Take all of the recent stimulus packages from the pandemic, all of the PPP loans, and look at all of the people that took the money that didn't do anything with it but buy a Hellcat or a bag of crab legs. Those are going to be the targets of mass incarceration because they basically signed the paperwork to their own sentencing. Every law they broke was written in the contract or promissory note of the money that they accepted. This is how you become a prostitute for the system. Since you needed something from the pimp's hand of Uncle Sam, he's going to want all of his money back with some sweat equity in the form of labor, very cheap labor. He is about to work you. If you don't think so, then just keep your head low and don't brag about it. Here's some disturbing criminal record statistics from 2023. The following are some mind-blowing statistics that you need to know. 1 in every 3 U.S. adults has a criminal record, so that's a third. There are about 2.3 million people in the prison system in the U.S., and that was a 500% increase over the last 4 decades. And this information is current as of 2023 when I wrote this. At the time, 27% of ex-convicts in the U.S. are unemployed. Less than half of the crimes are reported. People of color only make up 37% of the U.S. population, but 67% of the U.S. prison population. 5.17 million Americans are forbidden to cast their votes in the 2020 election because they have a felony record. The average bail bond in the U.S. is $10,000. Now, this came from techjury.net, and it was some criminal record statistics that could shock you. But I wanted to tie that particular article to the video that we're currently watching and make sure we put in this in context about how easy it is to rope people up when, especially when they don't have any financial resources to see about themselves. But let's let the video continue.
Back to the intro, and let's see exactly how my man got to the point where he thinking that this PPP loan destroyed his life and not his own actions.
So in 2020, everybody was doing the PPP. My cousin did it, my brother did it, then my best friend did it. I said, sign me up. Now, I wish I never did the shit.
Great content needs a great audience, like Stretch Armstrong needs to be stretched. Yeah! Woo!
I bet.
So, bro, 4 years after the money already spent, I get a knock at the door the other day. Boom, 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 boom. Dallas Police Department, open the door. We know you're inside. Open the door, because I ain't do shit. What the hell y'all banging on my door like that for? Put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest. I'm like, damn, what the hell I do? Can I put my dog up? They're not giving me no information, not letting me put my dog up. Get to the van, take me downtown. I'm in booking, asking, what am I being arrested for? They're not giving me no information. I find out when I get in front of the judge, I got 4 charges. Bank fraud, wire fraud, making false statements, and tax evasion.
Y'all are going to jail. Period.
So the judge never mentioned PPP. So it's not registering to me what am I actually here for. So he said my bond at $20,000, I go back to my cell. I'm talking to my cellmate and I tell him about the charges. He like, bro, that's for PPP. I'm like, how you know? Tell me why this man tell me that it's been at least 50 people that came through within the last week with the same charges. So the jail is overpopulated. The court's backed up for months. My next court date isn't until July. After I make bail, they tell me I got to go on an ankle monitoring bracelet. And this bitch hurt. Bro, I can't leave the house. I can't smoke. I can't drink. I can't do shit. And mind y'all, they can listen to anything I'm doing at any given time and freaking talk to me through this bitch like it's a walkie-talkie. Bro, I talked to my public defender earlier, and this man tell me I'm facing 22 years in prison, but if I find a way to get them the $22,000 back, then he can get me less than 10 years. I don't even have money for a paid lawyer. So, yeah, I got a $10,000 watch for sale if anybody want to buy it.
But let me tell you something, folks. You can't fix stupid.
He really thought that he was going to get 20 plus.
Yo. He said I got a $10,000 watch for sale, and he's still gonna have to do some time. That's crazy. Like, one of the things I do know that if you had taken that money, there was an opportunity to repay it. There was definitely an opportunity to repay it. But a lot of people take money and not know the terms of what they assuming. And this is one of those situations, man, you know. And I think business owners had a way different approach to how they went about using the PPP if they actually had a payroll that they were responsible for. And, you know, they would have handled the situation way differently. But like choosing to go buy, you know, like $10,000 watches and balling out. And this isn't even the worst story. I've seen some pretty bad stories along this line, but like my wife brought this up to me and I figured it'd be a good content piece to address. So, you know, let's continue.
$1,000 from the government and just walk away scot-free, and it was going to be no more questions asked. And I bet you're asking yourself, you got $22,000 free dollars. What did you get with it? Now I'm going to ask him 2 times Trey. What did you buy with the money?
So everybody wants to know, what did I spend my PPP money on that's worth me going to jail for 20 years? None of it's worth me going to jail for 20 years. Let's just get that out the way. But I did get this $10,000 limited edition Michelet watch that I really wanted. I got this $1,600 Gucci bracelet that I absolutely love. I also picked up these lovely Gucci shades, and I adore these. Also got me a pair of Cartier shades. If you're not from the Midwest, you don't know about the Cartiers, baby. Also got me these pair of Alexander McQueens, which I've yet to wear, but I'm gonna wear them one day. And then my favorite purchase is this $1,700 Gibson guitar. You know, I don't know how to play the guitar, but I was gonna put LED lights behind it and put it on my wall in my room and have it look all pretty and all that stuff. I never got around to doing it.
So now you are so dumb. You are really dumb, for real.
And then besides that, I just got like little knickknacks. This shirt, I got an iPad. I took a trip to Atlanta, me and my friends. I only paid for myself though. Just little stuff. Yeah. None of it was worth it, but Y'all want to know what I did with the money? That's what I did.
Go directly to jail.
So you took $20,000 to buy some pawn shop trinkets. You got a guitar. You went to Atlanta, and you didn't even leave the country. Like you could have, like there's quite a few different things you could have done, but it just goes to show you that the money only goes as far as the mindset. That's exactly what you saw there. Everything he explained lets you know how he thinks, how he solves his problems, and how menial the way he processes information. All he saw was $20,000, not federal prison time, not the bank fraud, not the wire fraud. He got a watch, a bracelet, a guitar, a trip to Atlanta, and now he got an ankle monitor on. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
I'm thoroughly disappointed, man. You deserve to go to jail, man. I can't even
Agreed.
front. If you stole $22,000 to get an outfit that you could put all on at one time, a watch, a little bracelet that looked like it came out the candy machine, man, you pretty much deserve everything you got coming to you. So let's roll the next video about how PPP just destroyed his life, because he got it coming.
Y'all, whatever y'all do, be careful what you say on TikTok. The other day, I made a video about how I did the PPP loan, and now I'm on house arrest because of it, and I'm facing 22 years in prison. I also mentioned other people who I knew who did the PPP in the video.
When I first watched this, and when he started talking about him and his cousin getting involved, and he heard what they did, what he saw, and how he been, I said he finna get them locked up too. and then lo and behold, as the video kept going, I was like, it cannot end in, you know what I'm saying, in a Disney way. It's gonna end in reality. And a lot of times we talk about women have a Disney fantasy. Well, outside of romantic relationships, everybody has a Disney fantasy with something that they really know is too good to be true, and it doesn't come without any type of consequence. And this is a story that captures that.
Just to give context, cousin did it, my brother did it, then my best friend did it. I said, sign me up. Well, today my brother gets arrested. And he's literally a law-abiding citizen. So in 2020, everybody was doing the PPP. My cousin did it, my brother did it. He's a family man, and now he's in jail because of it.
He's in jail because
my
of you.
My public defender called me. He told me that I need to delete all of my videos because if the prosecution gets a hold of them, they're going to use everything I say against me in court.
What y'all think social media is really for? You know, at this point, y'all realize law enforcement uses social media to catch murderers and people that commit homicides, felonies. People lose their jobs over text messages and comments and screenshots. Investigations get closed because of how people use social media. Social media is part of everyday fabric in life. And people want to say everyone needs to mind their business, but once you put something out in public that pertains to your personal life and your choices, now it's everybody's business, you know? Now, social media is a tool, and it's a tool to catch fools for a large demographic of people that work in law enforcement, the intelligence community, and journalists. Like, this is the fastest way to connect with people and get good indications of organic truth, or at least point you in the right direction. And indicators are not absolute, but they're absolutely indicators. So if you feel very confident in bragging about your scams online, trust me that there are people that feel very confident that they're going to catch you, and they get paid to do so. And that's what this video is about. People get paid to catch you flexing, man. They're not haters. They're just doing a job.
I didn't think that they will be able to do anything like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb. Whatever you want to call me.
You're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I'm just letting y'all know so y'all don't make the same mistakes that I did. I don't want nobody to have to go through what I'm going through. And now my brother is in jail, and we have to figure out a way to make his bond after everybody just got together and made my bond. Everybody's blaming me, calling me stupid, like I did something.
Like some of y'all that follow my content on a regular basis, right? I wrote something about the village. And the village is a myth. The village doesn't exist without the family. And the people that always need the community and the village to come together are the main people that abuse it. You heard what he said about we just had to come together. We just had to come together to get my bond. Now, his law-abiding brother, who has a wife and children, from what I recall, now the same community has to go be asked again to come together to get some money together to get his brother out. Now, once you got to get somebody out, you already lost because he's not going to be able to stay free anyway. So, especially on something that they actually did. So, these videos like this, when I talk about who can be trusted to lead, we talking about character and behavior. And how could you trust these guys? They can't pay you back. If they couldn't pay back the government, think about it, they took the money from the government and didn't think that it was going to be any consequences to their freedom associated with it. And then somewhere in the course of that, they had to pitch their sob story to people to bail them out. Now they got to turn around and do the same thing again with for their brother. It doesn't make any sense to me. And shout out to my man Intellectual Sniper. He said your family is your first ops. And here's a video. Here's a video about your family being your first ops.
Something wrong. All I did was get on here and tell my truth to try to warn everybody about what's going on so that y'all don't have to go through what I'm going through. Because if I would have known, like I said, I would have made a run for it.
I would have made a run for it.
Ain't no more doing that. I don't know what to do.
I hope you got a good lawyer.
This ain't fair, y'all. They just rounding us up like cats and dogs and treating us like we are absolute hardcore criminals for doing what everybody else did.
No, that's not
trying to get some money to help us through a difficult time. The stimulus wasn't enough. It wasn't. I lost both of my grandparents during COVID. They were my sole providers. They were the ones who was taking care of me.
I lost both of my grandparents. My grandparents were my sole provider. There's a lot of things you can deduce from just that statement, but it's an excuse. Nobody should be dependent on their grandparents financially either. I don't care. I don't want to hear that. That don't make any sense. That ain't gonna never pass nobody's common sense test, and it's not valid. You know, like excuses and reasons are closely related, but they're not the same. A reason for you doing something in this situation was just pure stupidity and guilt. Pure stupidity and greed. I'm sorry. There's no logical conversation where you can say, you know, this is why I did this, and it was completely based on all agreed because we saw the guitar, we saw the bracelet, and we saw the watch, and we heard about your trip to Atlanta. And then now you're going to talk about using your grandparents as a crutch to say that they were your sole providers. It would be different if you had taken the money and then helped your grandparents, but you didn't even say that. You didn't even say that. So the village and the community all got to make up for your selfish and greedy behavior because you abused them. You did that. Talking about it ain't fair. You're right. It ain't fair to the people that supported you.
I had to go from having everything to having nothing all within a week. So yeah, when the PPP came around, it seemed like a saving grace. It helped me a lot. And now it's destroying my life.
It helped me a lot. Now it's destroying my life. But who signed up for it? It's your fault.
That's some old bullshit.
Right.
LegalZoom makes it simple to start an LLC in 3 easy steps. Your business dreams.
All I know is my man better be trolling. If not, you got online to talk about how you shouldn't have got online because getting online got you locked up and your brother locked up, but you online telling the story.
That don't make sense.
Like, yo, you better be trolling, man. And it's one thing people that went out there and tried to scam the system and got these PPP loans themselves, but it's a whole nother pool of people. And you can make your decision if you want to believe them or not. But some people are saying that their name got used and they got scammed themselves. They never seen any PPP money.
Yeah, I can't win for losing. I ain't lying. I got to report identity theft for a PPP loan. I've never had a PPP loan. I was wishing I would have got the PPP loan. And then once I seen what everybody was going through, I was glad I wasn't no fool to go and do it. Somebody done put a PPP loan in my name. I got papers in the mail telling me I got court dates shit coming up. And I'm you know, I made phone calls. I done reached out like, you know, this not me, this is fraud. What do I supposed to do? They telling me file reports through the FTC, through the police departments, SBA declaration of identity theft, and they telling me to just file different reports through so many people, y'all. I gotta go through so much. I've never been through identity theft. I've heard about it, and now I see how difficult your life can flip upside down due to identity theft. Be careful out here, y'all. Be careful. PPP loan. Check the sites. Check whatever you got to check. If I got one in my motherfucking name due to fraud, y'all might too. Check y'all. This is sad. I can't win for losing.
So, do you believe on?
Shout out to my man Dedrick. Yeah, first of all, social media is not a personal diary. That is the first indication that we don't believe you. When you gotta pick your phone up and you decide, I'm gonna cry on the front camera or just tell a whole bunch of people that I don't know a bunch of personal information about myself, nobody believes you. Nobody believes you. And the thing is that it doesn't mean if you're not telling the truth, but everybody got their own problems, man. Everybody got their own problems. So trying to burden people on social media to help you tote yours is ridiculous. It makes no sense. Write that down in your phone, in your notes, contact a therapist and go deal with it that way. Stay off the net crying. It is a bad strategy. It helps nobody, and it's a bad look. I get like if you're in a life or death situation and you want to go live for your own protection, but to sit up and hold your phone and really just get ahead of your situation that way, it would be better served if you were actually defrauded and then you overcame it and you got on the net to tell people what they need to check for. But nah, that's not the way it was presented. And that's why I'm all about, like, get clarity on your situation before you start telling people. Because you might be getting people upset and irritated for no reason. And that's manipulation. That is manipulation. Then when somebody comes back and check on you and say, hey, everything cool, the last time I saw you was in dire straits, and next thing you know, that person out of the club twerking, having a good old time, like they just wasn't online crying about something or upset. But let's continue.
Y'all hit me up in the comments section and tell me if y'all buying her story. But I can say We don't know if she got scammed or not, but a lot of business owners got suckered into applying for these loans because it was pretty much like people walking around like selling PPP loans. And some business owners took the bait.
I thought about this and I was like, I wonder how many other people might be in a similar position where these promoters came along and PPP fraud was rampant. There were a number of promoters out there, tax promoters, where they went and approached these businesses and said, hey, look, we can get you the PPP and loan. Business owners saw everyone else was doing it. They were doing it, but just unaware of what was going on. And I guess they figured everything was legit. So I wonder how many people are in this position.
Man, y'all gotta admit that PPP time was a wild time. We'll never see another time like this again in history. I don't think so.
Look at me, America. Look how Tron is living.
And it wasn't just regular people. The celebrities got their PPP on in tremendous fashion also.
Y'all see that list? But see, the difference is they probably did it the right way. There it is. You see, people went and actually got it, and they postured the right way. They can take advantage of it the right way. Smart.
This makes me sick.
Stop hating. It was for everybody.
That's all.
Greed.
Get your hating
is
ass up out of
good.
here.
Greed is right. Greed works.
You're very selfish.
Look, folks, the way that the economy is set up, people really need to start trying to model their internal structure in alignment with the government's financial structure so you don't get caught out of place. And if they have an opportunity for business owners to take advantage of stuff, then you need to be figuring out how to posture yourself so you can take advantage of it then too. It's all about structure. That's all I wanted to say about that. So, and there's nothing disgusting about being qualified for something and then being able to get the funds for it.
But the beautiful thing about TikTok, man, it gives you a vast array of people. And sometimes you actually get somebody that accepts accountability for their actions. And it's rare when you come across it.
Update on the PPP warrant. So I didn't think that it was real at first because it's been about 3 years since I did mine. And man, I'm gonna take my lick because at the end of the day, I knew what I was doing when I did it. I knew that it was a possibility that, everything could go sideways.
Why they don't think that this stuff is real? Why do they think they can get any type of money from the government with no strings attached, no repayment, no terms, and think that it's not real? This is why I asked the question, who can't be trusted to lead? Because there's some people that don't think critically about their situation. And then it jeopardizes everybody else. And now I get it. Everybody can make a mistake. This is way different than just making a mistake. This is an egregious error.
I see a lot of comments. People got negative shit to say. They want to say, oh, you committed fraud. You knew what you was doing whenever you did it. And I get that. I get it. It's all good. But at the end of the day, man, every time somebody going through a negative situation in their life, y'all want to add negativity to the negative situation as if it's not already negative enough. Huh? Every time somebody going through a negative situation in their life, y'all want to add negativity to the negative situation as if it's not already negative enough.
Being so negative.
Most people don't understand, when we was doing our thing, man, it's hard out here. A lot of people don't understand, man. I'm already a convicted felon. I did damn near 8 years, 7 years and 9 months to be.
He was already a convicted felon, in his words. And then he gonna go take the government's money and think that it's just free, just magical. All right.
Exact. hard. And so I'm gonna just take my lick on the chin, man.
I dare you to do better.
So when a client comes to us with an ask to launch an influencer marketing campaign, the process is pretty streamlined. So
my man just took so much accountability and made so much sense. Got me looking at him like, how the hell did you take the PPP out there?
Yep.
If you this responsible and this mature, how did you make the dumb behind decision to take the PPP out in the first place, man? Dad, come on, man.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
And the one thing that clip shows me also is there's no room for accountability on TikTok, man. That video stood out like a sore thumb. But anyway, man, the real problem with a lot of these people now just getting these finding out they on a list and scrambling and trying to fix things is you have 4 years to fix things. So really shouldn't nobody be going to jail. You should have got your business right and made it work. But a lot of people just wanted to take this money and run.
Folks that went and got 60 racks, 100 racks with them PPP loans, shit, even if you got 20 or 30 and it was illegal, they just dropped the PPP warrant list for 2024. They coming to get y'all ass. For real. Thought you was low, thought it was safe. Nah, they coming now. The crazy part about it is the people that actually did it illegally, like they gotta be the dumbest motherfucker in the world because you literally could have did it legally and got your shit forgiven. Like they just gave you 20K. And you could have got everything forgiven if you'd have just went by the steps about it the right way. Like, but you chose to just be a scammer. It's crazy. Like they literally went and gave me 20K for my clothing brand. Legally. I mean, I had my clothing brand before the PPP thing started becoming a thing. You know, so I was able to show legit documents that I had a business. But a lot of people didn't even have a business yet. And they didn't even bother to actually go make one. They just probably put in some fake numbers. Or went and created a scam company with no real background and didn't even file taxes through. With no real EIN, nothing, and turn around and got 100 bands and thought that they wasn't going to see what? They wasn't going to do what? Like, you didn't think that they were just going to hand you 100 bands illegally and nothing was going to happen, right? Because you got to be the dumbest. What makes it worse is all it would have took was for you to actually go make a little business. You didn't even have to have a business beforehand, bro. All you got to do was go make a legit business, legit LLC, you know, get your paperwork right. And you could have went and applied for that loan and still got it forgiven within that same year, within a few couple months. But some people just literally are just too greedy, bro. And they deserve everything that's coming to them. So if your ass did an illegal PPP loan, you know what I'm saying? And they just dropped the warrant list for your ass. So you better go into hiding. But they not playing, bro. They not. I don't know why y'all playing with the federal government anyway. Somebody should have taught y'all something.
If everything my man just said in the video to the point to where you didn't even have to have a business when you got the money, if you just set up a business afterwards and invested that money into the business, but to not have a business at all and take the loan out is crazy. And on top of it, if you would have just followed the steps, you could have had it forgiven. It could be no mercy on you, man. Because while you was looking at it like you got away, they was actually giving you time to try to get things right. But you wanted to be greedy. So y'all tell me how y'all feel about this one in the comment section. We tried to tell them over and over and over again that they was coming, figure something out, but nobody wanted to listen to us.
Because you're greedy, schemy, and selfish.
So if you took a loan out, check that list. You know what I mean? You don't want your personal information out there for the world to see. Check that list. And I'll check y'all out on the next video. Hit me up in the comment section. Tell me how y'all feel about this one.
All right, Fruit. All right, man. Look, we're gonna continue the conversation, man, because like the conversation is like centered around like leadership and part of being in position to make uh, decisions that involve whoever is supposed to be leading. You have to first be trustworthy. This is based off of rule number 1, man. You know, y'all follow my content on a regular basis, and you know what I'm about when it comes down to accountable masculinity, and gotta have some rules, right? You know, so like, and men need to focus on themselves. And when you're in the process of trying to build something grow something, whether you by yourself or not, you're gonna run into a lot of situations where people are going to be trying to get you to co-sign on they thinking, and they don't have your resources, your problems, or your concerns. So, one of the questions I asked earlier this week, I had a couple topics that came up, and I said everybody's complaining about the YN crisis. I'm calling it a crisis. It's been what it is because we got too much information out there that tells us what's the right thing to do, and we see too many examples of folks getting hemmed up because of the choices that they made, just like in the PPP situation, right? So, I got to thinking about it, and as a veteran, um, I got a lot of veteran friends that that I communicate with outside of social media that I don't even engage with on unless we talk in person, or a lot of guys that I hadn't seen in a while, but we in regular communication with each other. And we're always talking about how do we create a better mentorship dialogue for young men. And one of the things that came up was separating people by behavior, because we have to, because that's the only thing that's going to determine how far you can go with something. You can only go as far as the people's behavior, because the minute they show you that they're dangerous and they're untrustworthy, they're just untrustworthy people, man. And within the spectrum of common sense and what's taking place over social media in the last few years, there's been a distinct separation between those who are here to help and those who are not. And you can't even get upset anymore. You just make a choice to keep your distance from certain people based on the way that they treat other people, right? So, I asked a couple questions that's kind of centered around that, and it began with, um, you know, I'm gonna pull a question up because I got it up over here on my screen. Hang on. All right. So here's where the question began right here. It said YNs can be in the street shooting each other for clout while destroying their communities, but won't join the military for benefits for their own kids and families. And it will never make sense to me. It will never make sense. And the same people that fit this conversation come from where? The village. This is the fruit of the village, not anything else. Because the only place that this is condoned is the village. And what do I mean by condoned? Who's holding anybody accountable for it? They just say that's just the way it is, right? You know how it go. It is what it is. That conversation is dead, man. And this isn't to even convince people that live this life that they have to change. This is for people that are observing and upset at this life and this pattern of thinking and this way of moving. It's time for you to let them go. It is time for you to let this go. This is a failed assignment, bro. If they don't see any problem with their behavior, what are you going to be able to tell them? I know there's a big fantasy in the conversation of black people coming together, but like the only black people that can come together are the ones that are already working together. That's it. And I put my flag on that. You know what I'm saying? The only black people that's gonna work together or that's gonna come together, the ones that's already working together. And the ones that can't be trusted are the ones that can't be trusted because of how they treat others and their behavior. It don't take much to grade them. Look at how they treat their kids. Look who they make their kids with. and look at how their kids behave. There's been plenty of situations that has come up in recent months in history, especially in just this year, with the children of the YN community are offing each other at school. And parents are blaming teachers for the behavior of children that they raised. I know the parenting is different from the way that we were parented. I understand that. I understand technology is different. I understand the peer pressure groups and all that stuff is different, but I don't care. I don't care. It is not an excuse to be a substandard adult. It is not. And in this conversation that went on, matter of fact, I dropped the conversation in the thread so you guys can catch up too, if you want to follow it or whatever. So we had a pretty in-depth conversation on this because I write way more than I get on video, but sometimes I'm writing because I got to get my thoughts organized first. Let me say a few other things on here. Fix this real quick so you guys can see. All right. All right, where was I? Okay, the people that are in position to retire understand exactly what I'm saying. The people that disagree don't plan on retiring on any level. They are going to work until they die. And that's not to say that people that have to work until they die don't care. We're just saying that you get a clearer picture about how society could potentially look if everybody got the right opportunity to separate themselves from things that they can control and things that they can't. Some things you can't get away from, and I understand that. But then when I talk about, again, these guys won't join the military, but they'll shoot each other. They'll hurt each other. They'll put their communities in disrepair and lead their kids to be orphans pretty much, and the next patch of cotton to get plucked. Say you don't want to join the white man's military, but you'll delete your own people and get locked up in a white man's prison. Work that same white man's labor jobs as an inmate in uniform and build the white man's properties and investments with your body as human capital with no benefits while destroying your bloodline. That's insane. And you're the physical manifestation of cotton. You understand that? You're the cotton. And you pick yourself. You pluck yourself when you go out here and hurt your people. They take you to jail and lock you up for hurting your people. That's not a white man's problem. That's our problem. And there's plenty of people. My man Tyrell said, "Yeah, I never understood that logic. Why not join the military and police force that you claim to hate to actually have representation and leverage within those areas? If they hate the current construct so much, why not infiltrate it and influence others to join the system or to change the system? You can't dismantle something that you don't know how it was built. You can't fix something if you don't know how it works. But you can't sit back and complain and think your complaints are going to fix it either. Either leave and be quiet or do something and fix it. So you got people on here saying, hey, the military, shout out to my man, Ronald Trey Brown, said the military changed a lot of people's lives. My friend Alicia Marie said, nah, keep the YNs out. They got to have a chance. Hey, it's up to them once they get in there. And then basic training should be mandatory. Shout out to my man Tyrone Congo man Chapman. Now this went into a whole nother set of conversations, and before I open this up, let me tell you what I also say. I think, and this is gonna sound real controversial, I don't really care, but since ain't nobody else got no solutions and everybody's got an objection, I'm gonna say it. I think we need conscription. And for those that do not know what conscription is, it is mandatory military service. Yep. And what I mean is It's it's a compulsory enlistment for state service, typically into the armed forces. Conscription was extended to married men at some point. So I think the young men in our community that do not have father figures or any type of matter of fact, I'm just saying like this. If you were born out of wedlock, if your child was born out of wedlock, you are automatically signing your kid up in my world. They automatically are going to the military when they as soon as they age, soon as they are of age. Not ROTC, not just ROTC, because they're going there too. They're gonna be on a whole different path. Because if you don't have any men in a man's life as he becomes a man from boyhood, he's cotton. Yep, he's cotton. There's too many examples of men that I've seen who were raised without their fathers that actually joined the military, and it shaped their outcomes, and I see it in their families. I see it in their children, you know what I'm saying? And they thank the military for setting them up for success. And part of the logic on this is that at some point, let's just say you don't join the military. And let's talk about the man in uniform. And what is the man in uniform? The man in uniform is always present. See, at some point in your life, you've had an encounter with a man in a uniform. Most of us have had an encounter with a police officer that is a man in uniform. The way that you handled yourself when you engaged with that officer had a variable impact on how your experience with that man in uniform would have gone. Meaning, like, if you had a mindset that was undisciplined and you could not maintain your emotions, your experience and interaction with that officer was going to be something completely different, way out of the way. So if you chose an emotionally undisciplined reaction to that man in uniform, that man in uniform gonna slap some cuffs on you, if provided everything goes as safe as possible. We're not going to talk about if you meet the wrong man in uniform and then they decide to off you anyway, But we're gonna talk about this from a step-by-step perspective, because I want you to understand how many men in uniform exist in anybody's life at any given time, but specifically men. So you have an encounter with an officer who's in uniform that ends up putting cuffs on you for whatever reason. And now you're in the back of the squad car. Then they take you to the station. Both those garage doors come down. The man in uniform gets out the car and picks you out the back seat, takes you and hands you off to another man in uniform that handles your booking. Now he handing you off to the jail personnel. After they book you, they're gonna put you in a room and give you a uniform to put on. And it might be orange, green, brown, tan, or whatever uniform it is. You will have on a uniform. And you'll be considered an official inmate at that point. And then the correctional officer, who's in uniform as well, comes to get you after you change into your new uniform as an inmate and puts you in the population with a bunch of other inmates that got the same uniform on as you do. And guess what you still have to do? You still have to listen to another man in uniform, because you don't know the politics of where you are. There's always going to be a man in uniform to tell you what to do. So this fantasy that you can go through life as a YN all your life and not have to listen to nobody is dangerous. It is a fantasy. And that is why I said conscription, because you're going to end up in uniform anyway. At least if you got some benefits, you go out here and do something drastic to cut your life off, your family has some benefits, instead of you having to lean on your family as the village to go bail you out of every situation that you created for yourself. You need training. And shout out to my man, Brendan, says, you really think that would be right to subscribe those guys to involuntary service because their parents couldn't get it right? You absolutely right, I do. If their parents can't get it right, who got to deal with it? If their parents can't get it right, who got to deal with it? So, and I say everybody's got to do things that they don't want to do to take care of the people that they're responsible for. People that get hurt from indiscriminate violence didn't sign up for it either. Do you have a better suggestion for a solution? You know, a lot of people got more criticisms than they do critiques. And a criticism it's just one way. I don't like it, so I'm going to talk crazy about it. A critique is, hey, I see the direction you're trying to go. Maybe take this piece of advice, this nugget of information, and adjust your plan with this piece of information. But I see where you're going, you know. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, you know. That's the difference between a critique and a criticism. So what happens here in these types of conversations, a lot of people have more objection than anything because they really just don't care for solving a problem. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's the case in this point. I think some people just like to disagree when they come down to social media. And because they like to disagree because it's just social media, we never push the conversation further. So like now, that's why having it publicly, like what I'm doing now, documenting it, is meant to say, hey, we can have a way better conversation about this all together, instead of just thinking that because we disagree that there's actual communication. I care about effective communication. I care about literacy. You know what I'm saying? Really understanding how to read the room, not just being able to read in general. Because a lot of people read and then they don't even comprehend what they're reading. They just know how to repeat the words. So at some point, you got to have something to go along with what you have to have a way to substantiate your point of view. Outside of just saying, hey, yeah, I like what you said, but instead of just listening to respond all the time. We're at a different level of crisis, man. And I know every crisis don't belong to us because we only deal with people that fit the behavior. But I wanted to make sure that I brought up a lot of these talking points because I care about how it goes. All right. So in this portion of the conversation as well, I brought up a topic that says, if a man doesn't have a wife, children, or isn't in charge of other people, how does he validate his ability to lead? All right. Now, this wasn't an affront to any man that's not married. Some men, I felt like, took this conversation in a direction that, you know, parts needed to be discussed because everybody's got an opinion on things. Some folks got a biblical alignment with what they believe leadership is. Some have an alignment that's based off of objective reality, and some just got it off experience, and some got it off of aspirations. And by aspiration, it means what you would like for it to mean, and what does it mean to you. And looking at the various responses, I could tell there was some people that was triggered. They don't necessarily care about anybody else's opinion. But one of the things, a few of the topics, and I just read a few of the inserts that I had in here. I said leadership is about strategy and implementation. It's not about being a dictator. And meaning, like, there's some people that in explanation, they think they're a leader because they're actually just wearing the title, or they're in a physically or they're in a designated role. I think it's more about a role for some people, you know. And so when I said this, let me put this on the screen. All right. Leadership is about strategy and implementation, not about being a big dictator. So when I said this, I was capturing the fact that there's some people that's going to look like they're in charge because of the role that they're in. But you have to pay attention to the impact they have on other people. And a lot of people don't really understand what I mean by that. Well, put it like this. For everything you see that a man could do, you can also flip it back. Let's say, okay, we'll take the man out and put it on a situation with a woman as the piece. If you could look at a woman and she has children and her children are not well behaved consistently, not just the difference between them just being kids and then not having any discipline at all. You could tell the difference, right? Well, it's the same thing. Like the mother can be, yeah, she's a mother, whether just because she had the kids. Is she a good mother or a bad mother? We don't know. Well, let's look at the kids. Let's look at the behavior of the kids. Does the behavior of the kids tell you if the mother is neglecting the children at all? Of course it does. So their behavior is going to tell you that. So it's about strategy and how she's going about being a mother to her kids and putting them in the best situation possible so they can have a healthy childhood experience and grow into functioning adults, right? Well, same with leadership. It's about strategy and implementation. If you're a leader and you're responsible for something that causes impact and changes other people's lives because of you, then your method of delivery and how you implement what your strategy is going to reflect that. So if everything you do, if you only value leadership on an internal level, I mean, that's cool. I mean, because you still got to have some kind of architecture how you're going to handle yourself. But ultimately, that's not leadership. That's just personal responsibility. You're just minding your business. It's the same thing when women say that they're alpha female. You're not an alpha without hierarchy. Well, you're not a leader without hierarchy. You're not leading anybody but you. And that's just called being personally responsible. And the next statement was, was you can study the Bible all you want. You can study the Bible all you want. But you still have to harness your emotional discipline to choose the right person to complement your leadership abilities to implement your plan. This is called vision. So you first got to have a plan that's already kind of working. And then you deal with people that help your plan accelerate or enhance whatever it is that you're doing. And you are able to make decisions that hurt people's feelings sometimes because everybody's expectations are different. You can't please everybody. You walk around and you know that every day. You have to be sovereign in your vision about what you need to do to maintain the trajectory to your success. So the Bible is an amazing tool of information, stories, and emotional and sexual discipline. And it gives you a lot of details and consequences similar to like a lot of y'all probably grew up with Aesop fables. You grew up with the Three Little Pigs, and they all told stories about consequences for choices made. You don't have to go through what everybody else goes through to benefit from making a good decision. You can just look at it and tell if it's advantageous to you or not. But if you don't get to a place where you can allow new information to change your existing opinions about something, that is going to impact your ability to lead. It is. It is. And I ain't just talking about in relationships. I'm talking about across the board, man. Because across the board, you're going to get challenged always. And you're going to have to know when to cut off and when to not explain yourself. And then you're going to be able to tell if the people you explaining yourself to actually care about what you got going on, or they're just more interested they're more interested in investing in disagreeing with you than actually helping you. Some people are there just to be competitive for no reason. People are going to compete with you before they compliment you. I live by that. Come on, man. Keep that in mind. They're going to compete with you before they compliment you. Let's see. If you engage in conflicts without an ability to resolve them peacefully, then you have no leadership skills or ability. You are untrustworthy. Going back to who can't be trusted to lead. People that use violence to solve problems and call it and from a role of leadership is exactly the behavior that shows you a person is just wearing a title. They're just showing you the version of them that they actually want to be. When the going gets tough, they gotta resort to some level of physical conflict, and that's not healthy. And what it also does, it changes their availability, because at some point, the way that they handle something is going to determine if they can be available or not. You start ending up dealing. You ever dealt with somebody that's always in and out of court? Their availability is always limited. No different than, like a person that has a child care issue and can't come to work on a regular basis. And they might be good at their job when they're there, but then because they always in some sort of inconsistent situation, because the best ability is availability. But if you think that you can live your life solving all your problems with violence, you're going to have some very, very inconsistent availability. All right. So, next, where does a man learn leadership skills if he's alone? That goes back to, like my conversation about the military. See, leadership isn't just, well, you're supposed to be a leader. I saw somebody say men are born leaders. No, they're not. Nobody's born a leader. Nope. You could be born to a leader, but nobody is born a leader. Leadership it has to be cultivated. You have to be trained. You have to go through a series of emotionally rigorous situations. It's like I was one day I was in a sauna, and there was this guy. I talked to him on a regular basis. You know how it is when you go to the gym, you see the same people. And we had a conversation about therapy, mental health, and a few other things, and some mentorship centric topics. And there's a lot of people that have not been exposed to anything. They have not had their fears challenged, and they have not put themselves against the sword. And by that, I mean, they don't have any baseline to really say what they've overcome. Most people have never overcome anything because the majority of people have never been trained. So the conversation I was having with the guy while we were in the sauna, he asked me something about exposure therapy. And I talked to him about it. And, the truth is that most people in general are not going to therapy or not going to any form of counseling. And, that's always going to be the case. But exposure therapy, actually being exposed to something that you're supposed to be scared of, like people that have a fear of clowns or a phobia or something like that. And we sat there and talked about it, and I started sharing stories with him about, my veterans that I counsel. And all of us have experienced being exposed to our own fears or highly chaotic situations. And even if we have PTSD, how we deal with it is we deal with it head on, and recognizing that is important, because when you're trying to lead, that doesn't mean you're not scared. It just means that you don't let fear submit you. Yes, most people, when fear shows up, they use it as a signal to hurt other people. For those of you that may have seen, may or may not have seen Saving Private Ryan, Tom Hanks' character at some point after they get to this drop zone where plane crash and soldiers are walking through because it's based in World War II. For those of you that never seen the movie, and there was this, they were looking for Private Ryan. Obviously, it was going through some dog tags, and then when they finally got some information about which direction they needed to go, Tom Hanks was plotting their next azimuth or direction to travel on a map, and his hand was shaking. He was shook, but he was calm in the face, but his hand was shaking, and the other men saw it, but they didn't not trust him. They didn't trust him any less. They didn't trust him any less because they were exposed to the same thing. So the thing is, even in that situation, he wasn't alone. And they still trusted him. If you're by yourself, who audits your leadership? Does it mean, for those of you that feel like you can still be a leader without leading anybody else, I don't agree. If nobody else trusts you, you're not leading anything. Period. You're just being a responsible human being and you're not being the burden to anybody else. But if you're not leading anyone, if nobody's dependent on your decision making, you're not leading anyone. You're no different than the women that call themselves an alpha female. Every man isn't a leader because every man isn't trained. And every man that's trained still doesn't necessarily make him a good leader. There's a lot of things, but a person with no training at all is definitely and it's not doesn't make decisions on behalf of other people other than himself, is no different than just a regular responsible adult. That's it. Don't confuse being responsible with being a good leader, because being responsible is a very, very basic requirement. You owe that to yourself. Leadership, you owe something to other people. Two different things. So let's see here. So the next thing is how does a man that leads recovers from his mistakes without making others carry his burdens? These questions are paramount. So I think a lot about when Cam Newton was in his first 2 years at the Carolina Panthers, and I would always see him out front taking the blame, dealing with the press. And I used to always think, I said, man, where's Ron Rivera? I felt like he used to be to the back, of the situation, where I felt like it should have been the coach's place to speak up. But then I had to start thinking about it multidimensionally. It's easy to put the camera on Cam Newton, and it's easy to, it's more lucrative to put the camera on Cam Newton. And like, he could admit where he made mistakes. He could admit, things he could have done better individually as a player. And the main thing that he did not do is blame the rest of the team. So a man just got to take ownership of what he's responsible for first. Period. Got to start there. And then if the conversation goes beyond that, then you make it available to other people, so they can say what their equity is in the situation. But you take care of your equity first. Don't worry about nobody else. Don't deflect. You wouldn't even accept that from your own kids. You're saying to your kid, hey, before they go to school, you tell them, do what the teacher tell you to do and stay out of trouble and don't follow the crowd. You get a call from the school and the teacher says your child is following the crowd and basically doing everything that you told them not to do before they went to school. You talk to your kid, you say, hey, why are you doing everything I told you not to do before you went to school? Your kid says, everybody else was doing it, so you don't go tell them. You probably going to have a problem with avoiding boxing your kid at that point, because that's not an acceptable excuse. Because there is no excuse when you already laid down the foundation of expectation. But we let adults make the excuse, well, you don't ever go say anything to them. Shut up. Shut up and deal with what's in front of you and nothing else. Don't worry about nobody else. How about that? Worry about what you're responsible for and not what other people should be paying attention to. If you lack sexual discipline, your leadership is questionable. Yep. If y'all know the rules, that's rule number 5. So it factors in anything. You know what I'm saying? It factors into everything. If you can't control your meat, you can't control your seat. Period. And for those that don't understand, you can't control your seat. You change where you're able to sit when you can't control your meat. Nobody wants you around them or next to them if you're untrustworthy with your meat. It's what it is. Kids, families, and everything get impacted this way. A man cannot lead anyone that doubts him. The person that doubts and questions him are serving 2 internal masters, fear and insecurity. It has to be that personal. They're projected because how dare they follow someone that they trust 8, 9, 10 out of 10 times, and then the thing that they want to disagree with you about is your personal philosophy because you said it publicly, and they're mad because number one, they're not bold enough to lead by it, but number 2, they're more motivated to critique or they're more motivated to criticize because, like I told you before, more people are going to compete with you before they compliment you. They're going to compete with you before they compliment you. These people serve 2 masters, man. Fear and insecurity. And you are not responsible for making them feel comfortable. Because if they doubt you, they're not here to listen to you anyway. So why even go that far in the gap? You know what I'm saying? With the situation. Why? Is it even necessary? Because if they're already wired to disagree with you, there's no point. You don't owe them safety. No different than any job. A job has no problem with saying, hey, you don't meet the criteria. We got a probationary period and we're not a good fit. We're going to go ahead and get you up out of there. You got 1 or 2 different exchanges with somebody and you already know how far something's going to go. You already know what they own. You know what they're committed to. The time has passed for people going out of their way to convince somebody of your vision. You got your assignment and they got theirs. Respect their assignment and let them get out your way. If you have passion without a plan, you are reckless. You want submission, but you don't have a mission. You are a liability. Like, hey, look, keep this in mind. Originally, we started off with the YN culture conversation. The YN culture doesn't want to incorporate any of this stuff right here. YN culture is crash out culture. There's no problem. There's the problem is the goal in the YN culture. Okay. Being problematic is the YN culture goal. They don't want solutions. The crash out is the solution. because that culture has no leaders. They're not raised by leaders. They don't want solutions. Leaders are found where solutions are. Keep that in mind. You don't find solutions where the crash outs are. And that's why men that are leaders don't argue. They do not entertain detractors unless they're using them as examples to teach others. Yep. If you are going to have any type of extended engagement with somebody that disagrees with you, start collecting on them. Get ready to use them for content, man. That's it. They're not good enough for anything else. Based on behavior, you don't have to know them character-wise. We're talking about the behavior because everybody has a profile, whether they like it or not. There's an answer for everything, but the leader will make a decision based on what he can implement, control, influence, and accomplish without support. When you have a plan, this is why you don't have to entertain everybody that disagree with you. If what you're trying to do can be accomplished, whether they're paying attention or not, then you don't have to entertain them. They're the ones looking for validation, not you. They are. They need to feel like the way that they're testing you to see if you believe in what you're saying and see if you'll fold. Because they want a spectacle. They want to embarrass people. They want to say you're not as gifted, talented, or smart as you think you are. That's what they're trying to say to you. Because why else would somebody go out of their way to try to dismantle somebody else's well-intended thoughts? It's weird. That it like they don't even know they're haters. See, most people that aren't leaders, most people that think that they're leaders, but they result, you know what I'm saying, limit themselves to this type of behavior, how they treat other people, intellectual property, is really just jealousy. It's really them just let you know that I watch you all the time because I'm looking for a opportunity to disagree with you publicly because I want attention. That's really what it is, man. Like, as smug as that sounds, it's just the truth. You have to sit back and say, well, why would they care so much about my opinion? And if my opinion is that valuable to them, then how much other stuff are they really paying attention to about you? Keep that in mind, man. Men should never be led by a woman's fear. He's led by his autonomous obligations that exist with or without her. Yep. Because a man's resilience should be the example that she should observe to trust that his plan is in alignment with his example of leadership. You got to walk it like you talk it. And if you make a mistake, you own it. Because you can't demand accountability from anyone if you're not willing to stay in line with what you practice. It's just it. So, and then the other part was going back to, well, people saying, well, you could judge a man to be able to lead by how he carries himself and all that stuff, right? And it's actually proven the point that even if you are not attached to someone, but you can be observed, someone's still auditing you based on your potential. Until they're with you, they can't audit you they can't audit you by behavior completely unless you have some sort of organic connection with them. So if your authority cannot be audited, you are not leading anything. Meaning if nobody that's connected to you that's a recipient of your guidance, behavior, and your plan, if they can't say ask for clarity or look for ways to be a better, if you don't have anybody asking you for better guidance, then what are you leading? So it's a lot of people that's single that think that they're a leader because they're single, but you can't be both. And what I mean by that is in a romantic sense, that's true. But I think a lot of people are overlapping being um, just a responsible individual being a leader. Because if nobody's benefiting from what you do, then who are you leading? And don't get me and stop saying lead yourself. You're just being a responsible adult. True leadership negates doubt. Passionate pessimism inspires insecurity. You are not a leader if you inspire doubt and fear. You are a prosperity preacher if fear is your tool. Yes. Come on. You should be saying facts. From a leadership perspective, you should be just giving cold hard facts with no personal with no personal hate mixed into it. You're just talking about the truth. You're not speculating for the minority in a situation. You're dealing with the 51%, the majority rule, not half and half. Because if you behave a certain way 80% of the time, then you should expect outcomes that reflect the 80% of your behavior. So leadership is intentional, and it is very important that it's led. It's important to approach it with a positive attitude, because if you approach it with a pessimistic attitude, then it's going to be associated with fear, emotional undiscipline, poor sexual conduct, victim blaming, not even victim blaming, just victimhood. None of the behaviors that we need that make us feel safe. No fear. No fear. Fear cannot be part of the way you administer your leadership. At that point, you're just being a dictator. If you have no authority, you're not leading anything. Do we really need to expand on that? Like, seriously. If you have nobody that is that you're responsible for administering guidance to, what are you leading? Stop saying yourself. Let's see. Leadership comes through training and discipline. What training and discipline do you have? So some of you can be leaders in, anybody can be a leader if that they have a skill set that they can teach to somebody else. But somebody has to receive what you're saying. There has to be someone else in the equation. If you're by yourself and nobody receives anything from you, do you even exist? If you have no impact and no influence, then who's following you? You don't exist to people that you don't have an impact or influence with. So if nobody can receive your experience and your teachings, then what are you leading? Let's see. If you're focused on leadership, you'll have more solutions to offer than insults. based on the current environment and situations. Yep. If you deal with what's in front of you, and if it's a situation that requires immediate problem solving, you don't have time to complain. You don't have time to judge people negatively, and you don't have time to be malicious toward anyone. So that's why when you can look up and see that there are some people that are very, very committed to being malicious to people that actually help others, they don't have any plan. They're not trustworthy. You can't trust them. Who can't be trusted? People that shame folks that help people cannot be trusted. People that shame people that are looking for solutions, honestly, cannot be trusted. Like, you don't talk crazy to someone that's obese that's at the gym. They're at the gym. They're working. Let them get through what they got to get through. Be happy that they're in there working on themselves. And most times the people that got the most to say, they can't teach anybody anything. That's why I say you don't even have to pay them any attention. Y'all, people got to learn how to ignore. Learn how to ignore. And you could teach. If you have the answer for that person that you're ignoring, then you can also teach it. Especially if it's coming from a good place, because again, people are wired to compete with you, not compliment. So you got to keep that in mind. Men without leadership resources make excuses and suggestions. Leaders have internal discernment and emotional discipline to make necessary choices on behalf of the people he's responsible for, regardless of their dislike. See, when you make excuses why you can't do something, it's because you really just don't want to. You'll discuss your limitations, but if you really want to do it, you'll say, hey, I want to make sure that I'm successful when I do this because I'm not certain about it. Tell me what I need to do to be successful. And the same people that like making excuses love making suggestions. And the suggestion usually has nothing to do with them doing it. Because I live by this. You can't have the least amount of resources and think you can make the rules. Period. If you ain't in a position to change the way something's executed, then don't make suggestions. Ask questions. Ask questions about how you can help them get to their goal. You know what I'm saying? Because if you cannot pass reasonable judgment, you can't lead anything. You could just tell. If anytime somebody's ask you a question and you get defensive about the question, you're leading from fear. You're supposed to be able to be challenged. And the challenge is not even from the person. It's about you refining your level of effective communication. Because see, some people are, like I said, they're going to compete with you before they compliment you. Some people are the emotionally undisciplined people are wired to compete with you first before they compliment you. They're transactional. So they're going to intentionally misunderstand what you tell them sometimes. This is why you have to let them go. They're going to intentionally misinterpret what you said, and it's very manipulative behavior. And they're going to put other people in jeopardy, including you, and whatever your mission is, and whatever that looks like. There's no room for them. That is the entire YN culture. You're going to make a suggestion or offer a consult on something, and they're going to tell you every reason why it can't work. Instead of saying, well, these are our obstacles. What did you suggest, or how can you help us develop a way that can get positive returns for our effort? And then that's when you have to learn a cold hard reality. And that's what this is really about too. The cold reality is that most men are not leaders. They're not. It is a very, very small pool. And that pool is meant to be small. It just ain't enough room. Because who gonna do the work when it come down to it? And then the last 4 or 5 years, everybody been a boss with no workers. Somebody got to do the work. So everything is playing its way out the way it should be played out. Because as far as men are concerned, you out here by yourself, man. You can't blame nobody. And ain't nobody coming to save you. I know we say these things all the time. Part of the reason why you have to accept those realities is that in the back of your mind, you know that after a certain period of trying to help people that can't help you, you know that this can't go on any further. And despite whatever is said on social media, you got to have a literacy about your regular environment. Yep. And you got to get yourself out of your own problems. Nobody that you're going to meet is the answer to your problem. Even if you're in a relationship, your problem is still your problem, and it's not the other person's to deal with. Your moods that come from your problem is your problem, because you would still have that same issue whether you were with them or not. So the cold reality is that most men aren't leaders because the men that fit this statement don't solve their own problems. You cannot lead anything if you don't solve your own problem. And that is just the truth. I hope you guys like the video. Like, share, and subscribe. And, keep in mind that you are what you do. And if you do that thing 80% of the time, then that's what you are. So this has been another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. Check the caption and description. Like, share, and subscribe. Go get the book, Accountable Masculinity. Follow me on YouTube. Join the Facebook group. And I'm out.